If you're tired of having a chicken chest, invisible lats, spaghetti arms, and legs as thick as a toothpick, then stop listening to the generic influencer advice of just doing more volume, bro, to bring up your weak body parts, as more volume is actually holding back your gains. As reducing your volume will allow you to train with a higher frequency, which the recent data has shown that higher frequencies are superior to lower frequencies if volume is equated. This is simply due to the first set of a given workout for a specific muscle group being the most stimulating set of them all. You need 5 more fucking sets to get the same stimulus of the first set. This means that opting for a training philosophy or a training style that allows you to get that first most stimulating set as often as possible is best if you want to bring up your weak body part. This can easily be achieved by opting for a split that allows you to train with a higher frequency, which would mean that there are 3 options: full body split, an upper-lower split, or a push-pull full body split. These splits may seem like a beginner split, as you cannot cramp up the volume or cramp up the exercise for every single muscle group, which means that it is more minimalistic, but that can be further from the truth. You don't need, as I said, as much volume as I think you do. 4 to 8 sets per muscle group per week are more than enough to still progress your lifts, which means that you're still building muscle without doing any junk volume. I will break these splits down so you can choose which might suit your own needs best. So the full body split allows for the highest frequency possible, which will allow your weak body part to get the first most stimulating set as often as possible. You get 3 and even 4 chances to hit your weak body part with that most stimulating set. The full body split has the most options for modifications as you're training your whole body in a single session, but at the same time it has the most room for error. On the full body split, 1 to 3 sets per muscle group is all you really need to get the most stimulus you can. The upper lower split is more so suited for you if your legs are more so the weak points, as you're cramping your whole upper body up into one single session, which can be a con for your upper body, but a pro for your lower body, as lower body training is more minimalistic in nature. If your legs are your main weak point, this is a great split. Of course, you can still modify the upper body split to be more suited towards other weak points that you have in the upper body. For the upper lower split, opting for 2 to 4 sets per muscle group per session is best to get the best stimulus and to not overwork yourself, so you can train with the higher frequency that the split allows. Now let's come to my favorite, the push-pull full body split. This split allows you to either completely focus on your upper body by splitting your upper body into a push and pull session, or really biasing the legs by splitting your leg training into quad and hamburg. This split allows you to get the fun aspect of a push-pull leg split, but still being in the optimal high frequency zone, which the push-pull leg split just doesn't allow. For the push-pull full body split to be effective, you have to opt for 2 to 4 sets per muscle group per session to get the best stimulus for the workout and not to work yourself again to train with higher frequency that the split allows. Now, whether you're choosing the upper lower split or the push-pull full body split, training your weak body parts right after a rest day will allow you to train that weak part with the least fatigue resistant, as you've just taken a rest day, which will allow you to get the most moderate improvement possible, meaning that you will get the better stimulus for that target muscle. So let's say you opt for the upper lower split because your lower body is weak point and the split by design is more focused on the legs. By putting the leg day before the upper body day, you get an even better stimulus for the legs as you have just taken rest day, meaning that you're increasing your motor unit improvement. You're training with less fatigue resistant, meaning you'll get a better stimulus, resulting in better leg gains in the long run. Vice versa, if you want to focus your upper body, do the upper body day first. Not only the first training day after a rest day is the most productive in terms of getting the best stimulus possible, but also the first exercise of a new workout is the most stimulating exercise of them all. Again, there's no fatigue existent at the start of the workout. You have a higher motor unit improvement, meaning you will get a better stimulus for the target muscle. When structuring your workouts, you would opt to train your weak body part first in the session, your strong body part last in the session, and everything that falls in between falls in between. Your strong body parts will still grow even if it's at the end of the session, which may not be optimal, but they are a strong body part for a reason, so their reception for growth is greater, meaning that if you put it at the end of the workout, they will not suffer as much as if you would put your weak body part at the end of the workout, for example. Now, let's come to challenging some common beliefs. If you want to grow your arms as huge as possible, for example, you want to train them first in the workout, even if you're doing chest or back work later in the session. Your chest and back and push or pull movement are still the main movers of the movement, and if you're training your triceps or biceps first, yes, you will be somewhat weaker in the later exercises, but if they are a real priority, you need to train them first. training them after 1 to 2 back or chest exercises is far too late. Again, the chest and back are the prime movers and they will get the stimulus. They won't shrink to the oblivion if you train your biceps or triceps first. And if you have your calves or abs as a complete weakness and you want to bring them up, training them first in a workout will not take away any stimulus of the other muscle groups, as they generate so little fatigue that you will even forget that you did them at the start of the workout. Now that we got the exercise order out of the way, which exercises are deemed to be optimal to bring up your weak points and get them as jacked as your strong points? So there are 3 criteria. Your target muscle needs to have the best leverage to produce force in a given movement pattern. So for example, the dumbbell pullover, which is deemed optimal by some gurus, is not a great exercise for the lats, even if it biases the optimal stretch position. This is due to your lats losing leverage if you move your arms above 120 degrees and other muscle groups like your chest, your triceps and your teres major taking over the movement. It doesn't matter if an exercise is stretch or short and biased. If your target muscle is not the one that goes to failure under the movement, it is no bueno. On the other hand, the biceps actually benefits from the stretch, as the other muscle groups like the brachialis and brachioradialis have more leverage in the shoulder position, meaning that if you want to grow your biceps as huge as possible, opting for a preacher curl, which is the most challenging in the stretch position, would be best here. The second criteria, stability. If an exercise is more stable, you have higher motor unit recruitment, meaning that you're stimulating more muscle fibers and activating more muscle fibers, resulting in more gains. Almost every exercise can be done in a stable manner. For example, the wacky kneeling cable iliac pull down is one of the worst exercises possible if you want to bring up your lats, but by just using a bench to support yourself, creating external stability, improving your motor unit recruitment will automatically make it a great exercise option if you want to bring up your lats. Now the third criteria, which is one of the most underrated ones, utilizing unilateral movements to your advantage. Unilateral movements are one of the most underrated tools for bringing up a weak body part or building muscle in general. So our bodies are naturally not designed to move bilaterally or using both limbs at the same time. In the bodybuilding context, if you're using bilateral movements, using both limbs at the same time, like in a bench press, a squat pattern, a barbell curl, you're not actually utilizing all of your muscle fibers, but like 50% of them. Now, when you're performing unilateral movements or doing one limb at a time, you are actually activating and recruiting more muscle fibers than you are in a bilateral movement. The only downside of unilateral movement is that it causes slightly more fatigue as you're doing both sides individually, and that it is more time consuming as you have to again do both sides individually. Now, if you're thinking about incorporating more unilateral movements into workouts to bring up your weak body parts or build more muscle in general, make sure to only opt for 1 to 2 unilateral movements per workout so that they don't take too long. It has always been said that higher reps are more suited towards bodybuilding or hypertrophy training, and lower reps are more so for building power and strength. You can still build muscle, and even better with low reps. Get strong as fuck in the 4 to 8 rep range, and it will show in your physique. But why 4 to 8 reps or low reps in general? Low reps create much less fatigue, contrary to popular belief, than high reps, as the last 5 reps of a given set are actually the only reps that actually contribute something to your muscle growth, meaning that if you're doing very high reps, all those reps are literally for nothing, creating much more unnecessary fatigue, which doesn't contribute anything to actual muscle growth. Higher reps take a toll on your recovery pool, meaning that you can't train with higher frequency and that you can't get that first most stimulating set of the workout, as it is impossible to recover on a high frequency protocol with fucking high reps. If you're opting for low reps with heavy ass weights in the 4 to 8 rep range, the effective reps or stimulating reps start immediately from the first rep on, meaning that you're not generating any unnecessary fatigue and you're just focusing on the stimulating reps that actually attribute something to your muscle growth. Before saying that you cannot do low reps on isolation movements like calves, abs, lateral raises or even curls, you absolutely can, and in my opinion it feels even better than high reps. Training with a higher frequency, structuring your workouts well, choosing good exercise to bring out your weak body parts is all great, but if you're not training with high as fuck intensity, all of that is for nothing. You need to train as hard as fucking possible, you need to train as close to failure as possible and fail multiple occasions so you can learn the skill of training to failure and being an absolute motherfucking badass in the gym. After I've learned how to train like a fucking maniac, my physique blew the fuck up. Not only my weak body parts, but everything in general. And once you've learned the skill of going to failure and train like a fucking madman, then there was time to back off. I was always the proponent of train to failure or be a fucking loser, but I beat myself into the ground. I was tired the whole fucking day, every single day of the week. I was so dead after workout that I couldn't even function. But the last 2 months, I've incorporated more reps and reserve work into my training, and my strength progression, even on a cut, improved due to the greater recovery. I had a better stimulus to fatigue ratio as I was not generating any unnecessary muscle damage, which comes with the last rep to failure, as backing off using 1 or 0 reps in reserve at max meant that I got the most important stimulating reps of the set without generating unnecessary fatigue via failing. Last rep of the set is the most stimulating, but it creates so much unnecessary fatigue, which you can bypass by just using 1 rep in reserve, which gives you almost the same stimulus. So learn the skill of training to failure, beat yourself in the ground first, and deserve yourself the right to use reps in reserve. And after you've deserved yourself that right, if you're using 2 sets per exercise, make sure to use 1 rep in reserve for the first set and then 0 reps in reserve for the second set. This will give you the best stimulus possible and not create too much unnecessary fatigue. Now, after getting every fucking asset you need to bring up your weak body part and to fucking blow up your physique, the most important factor to build muscle is that you are in a calorie surplus. Everything I just said, you can throw it completely out of the window if you're not willing to bulk. But don't be afraid, you don't have to fall for the bulking meme and get fucking fat. Opting for a small surplus, just 200 calories, is enough to still build muscle, as you cannot build any more muscle tissue by just force feeding yourself and eating more, which will in actuality prevent you to build the most muscle possible, as a slower surplus allows for a much longer bulk, which means that you'll progress your lifts much longer, which again will build more muscle, as strength progression over a long period of time is king for hypertrophy. It doesn't matter if you're training optimal, suboptimal, if you're fucking strong, it will show in your physique.